Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cast It to the King. I'm here with Aaron Alston. So
what's up?
So last week we didn't have an episode because of our long prep for Sound of Christmas at the Life Church, which was pretty amazing to say the least. So we're going to get started back with this week-to-week episode, where it'd be Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, or Monday or Tuesday. Whenever the episode will come out, it'll be coming out. I'll be sure to get this out as soon as possible. So how's your morning, Austin?
It's been good. Got to take things slow. We're like out of office for Christmas break now, so I've been able to just kind of, catch up on some sleep. So that's what I did this morning, slept in a little bit. What about you?
Slept in a little bit today, even though I was up till like 12 last night. But we were about to watch. We were trying to watch Home Alone back to back 1 and 2, and we had pizza. So that's what my wife's been doing this Christmas is we watch a movie and then we eat the food that's like associated with that. So when we watch The Christmas Story, if you know at the end of the movie, they're at this Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
So, and she had Chinese ordered for herself and me.
Nice.
And now we just had pizza this past night.
So did she like make it? Did y'all like ordered out, or did she like make?
We ordered out.
Got you. What's your pizza? What's your like go-to pizza spot?
She likes Papa John's.
Okay.
Occasionally Pizza Hut. She does not like Domino's. So, all right. So let's kick off today's topic, and this first one's going to be movie related. And in recent news, apparently, and it's not apparently, it's actually official, is that man of fame from Guardians of the Galaxy fame, James Gunn, has recently been appointed with Peter Safran over at the newly formed DC Studios, courtesy of the new Warner Bros. Discovery merger. They are now running the show at the newly formed DC Studios. Why is this important? Well, it's being tossed out there from big trades from the Hollywood Reporter and elsewhere that he and Peter are looking to freshen everything up, and that includes a full-on reboot of the whole DC cinematic universe. And they just made it official the other day by saying that Henry Cavill, who has been playing as Superman, will no longer be our Superman, despite the end tag for Black Adam.
Right.
So that's kind of a loose thread that will never be tackled again, unfortunately. So just to get your thoughts on it, what do you think of? Do you think they should reboot, or do you think they should salvage what they can and move forward? What are your thoughts on this?
I was actually team reboot. For me, when it comes to DC films, the only things that I like DC is like in their bag with has been the Batman movies. Any of the Dark Knight movies, the new Batman trilogy that they're starting with Robert Pattinson. It's like when they do Batman movies really well, everything else is kind of like hit or miss. So for me, I think that this reboot was kind of necessary. I'm a little disappointed in the whole they're gonna have to get a new Superman, and Henry Cavill we won't know what that's gonna be with Black Adam. But I think big picture, when it comes to like the vision of the DC brand, I think it's gonna help big time, because I think Marvel is kind of on like a downslope just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I
can agree with that. Yeah.
And then it's like hopefully in like 5 to 10 years, it's like DC will kind of be like on the upswing. So I think big picture it'll help.
Yeah, big picture is definitely going to help. My thoughts on it are, and I had this talk with Mark Siebling when we were talking about Black Panther. He didn't see Black Adam yet. I actually saw Black Panther first and then Black Adam that same week, because of the critical response to Black Adam was subpar. So I'm like, okay, I'll hold off on that. Yeah. And I don't and I'll save my approach to that week was, let me see what everyone's saying is a really good movie, and then I'll prepare myself for, okay, what is supposed to be like a subpar movie or bad movie.
Right.
And I kind of feel the opposite now after seeing both of those movies. I thought Black Panther, between Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Black Adam, it has Black Panther has the better director and script, and the better cast and whatnot.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say cast, actually. I'll take that away. I'll give cast to Black Adam, actually. You got Dwayne the Rock Johnson. You have good old James Bond himself being back in there as Dr. Fate. Yeah. You have Mark Ruffalo lookalike. His first name's Noah, but I actually watched him for a bit when me and my wife were watching the show called I think it's The Fosters or something on.
Okay.
It's a show on Netflix, but he really shines through in that.
Okay.
In that Netflix show. So when I heard he was in the movie, I'm like, oh, this is now an opportunity for folks to get to know him per se on the big screen. That I haven't seen him already.
That was the first time I saw him. It was in Black Adam.
It was. So, yeah. He's a really good actor.
Gotcha.
So
I'm gonna check out some of his other stuff then.
Yeah. So my thoughts is, it's a bummer that Henry Cavill's no longer with us. Mm-hmm. I was actually a big fan of the Zack Snyder released 4-hour Justice League movie, which actually improved on the theatrical cut, which if you've watched the Snyder cut on HBO Max, I mean, now it's on Amazon or wherever, it's essentially the same story, but it gives the characters more gravitas and more meaning and more purpose that otherwise could have been dished out in a solo movie. Yeah. But maybe that's why the Snyder cut resonates better, because it gives Cyborg more character development. It gives Flash a little bit more development. It gives even Wonder Woman, even though she had her movie, gives her a little bit more development. And then it sows the seeds of Aquaman that we see pay off in the movie right afterwards. It's a bummer. It's for football terms. For sports terms, like you're dealing with damaged goods because the audience, because with the audience with this current iteration of the DC universe is that they're voting with their wallets and they're saying we're not interested, even though some of these movies are good. I did not think Harley Quinn was good. I did not think the first Suicide Squad movie was good. Batman vs. Superman, the ultimate cut for about 3 hours, I think is better than the theatrical cut. Yeah. Man of Steel was really good. Wonder Woman 84, the less said about that movie, the better, in my opinion. I fully support of starting fresh.
You made a really good point. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you
made a good
go
point
ahead.
about like in the Snyder cut, a lot of characters, like we just got to see some payoffs. I feel like in most DC films we haven't seen any payoffs. Exactly. In anything really. It's just like
even in the first Green Lantern movie when they teased Sinestro as a post-credit scene, right? And they completely dished away that universe.
Yeah, I think I'm waiting for DC to finally just like pick a lane and then actually just go all the way through with it and actually create some sort of storyline that intersects at a high quality. They've done it, but it's never been like high quality to me. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. That's why I'm like, okay, maybe, and even the new guy that's teaming up with him, he's got some Marvel background. Yeah. Right? So hopefully
he's actually got Conjuring background, and he's actually produced the better DC movies right now. And Aquaman, Shazam, and Aquaman 2 and Shazam 2 coming up. And he was with James Gunn for the Suicide Squad movie. Right. So he just recently did.
So hopefully this guy can really just like kind of just finally knit together something amazing for the DC just franchise.
I think what's interesting about this take is not only does James Gunn and Peter Safran have a 10-year plan that they've laid out, and they say they're going to reveal in the new year of 2023, is that not only are the TV shows and movies are going to align with each other like Marvel is doing right now, they're gonna take the Star Wars route and go one step further and involve the games involved with AAA content. So who that could be, like a Batman game or a Superman game or a Flash game. I mean, whatever character. Yeah. I would imagine have to be like a side character of such for a game, because you want to save Batman, like a centralized Batman game story. Yeah. For the movies, or do you? I mean, that's interesting to think about because,
I mean, there are some classic Batman games where it's like
the Arkham series.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, really, what they'll be able to do if they're gonna add games to it too is they're gonna have to create kind of new universes and new worlds for each character.
I mean, that's the thing. Going forward, they said that they're gonna have it all in the same universe with the games as well.
Okay, gotcha.
So
yeah.
It's going to be TV shows, movies, and games, similar to what Star Wars is doing with The Mandalorian on the show. Yeah. You had the sequel trilogy and other subsequent spinoffs in the movies. And then you have the recent Star Wars Battlefront games. And then you have the Jedi series coming out. Yeah. Fallen Order was the last game, which is canon to that universe of Star Wars. Which is what James Gunn and Peter Safran are taking one step further than what Marvel's doing. Because Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4 is not connected to the MCU.
Right.
Nor is it even connected to the other Avengers game that came out recently.
Yeah.
Even though they teased an Easter egg in it, it didn't pay off. And they say it's not in the same universe with the Insomniac video game. So that would be interesting if Marvel could take that route.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested in what kind of AAA game DC could pump out, especially if Rocksteady's behind it again.
Yeah.
So, and they're coming out with their Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. So we'll see multiplayer style what they have up their sleeve. So
that'll be good. And I mean, I think in 10 years, if they can really pull that off, I mean, they're gonna be like, this was a good move.
Yeah. You gotta start with the first step. You got if you stumble out of the gate, then people are gonna be like, "Did we go forward with this plan?" Do you think they should start with a Man of Steel reboot movie, or do they go straight in? First movie of the universe is Justice League, and then you do individual.
I'd much rather see a Man of Steel reboot first, and then start making worlds intersect. I would love to get some character development before we bring a Justice League all together. I just would.
I think if you were to propose to me a James Gunn directed out of the gate Justice League movie, similar to how in the TV world you have the showrunners direct the first episode, which is the pilot episode, and that is your template that the rest of the directors of the TV shows would follow to match its similarities and quality. So I can see both sides of character team up, and then I see the qualities of team up first movie. Here's the template of how these movies are supposed to be, even for your more serious characters. And then you move on to your solo acts, and then come back again for the sequel for another team-up movie. So you can approach it from both sides.
You could, and I see what you're saying with the whole that first thing being something that everybody can just go out and kind of run with from there.
Yeah,
which is a good idea, but it's just I think it's like if they come out swinging with the Justice League and that one is not good, I'm gonna just get to what everybody's gonna do. They're gonna just be like, well, the Justice League movie with this reboot sucked. So I mean, all the other movies are gonna suck.
Yeah.
And then it's like we'll just wait for it. I won't pay to see it in theaters. I'll just wait for it to hit HBO Max.
That's another thing that's actually been killing DC movies lately. Is back in 2021, Warner Brothers had this mandate, and the dude that mandated ended up getting fired by Discovery after they merged with him. Was to simultaneously put these movies out in theaters with HBO Max, but not let the movie creators or the sub studios involved, like Legendary, who's involved with Dune and the Godzilla movies, which they took Warner Bros. To court, and they ended up having to sell over $200 million, essentially recouping the movie budget. So we'll see what happens with this, if there's a new theater format going forward. And we'll see going forward if there is a... Yeah, let me silence that. All right. We'll see going forward if there is a new movie theater window format, because right now it's not the rule. It's just a standard that most studios have been following since Universal and Disney started doing, is a 45-day window. It used to be a 90-day window.
Yeah.
Movies in theaters for 3 months, and then it's on video on demand or it's out on physical media. Now it's 45 days, which... If you look at Spider-Man No Way Home and you look at Top Gun Maverick, those did not have 45-day windows. Those were in theaters for months. Yeah. And it made a whole slew of money. Combined, they almost made $4 billion combined between the two of them. Yeah. So
I was like, Black Adam's already on HBO Max.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like I was like, that was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And
it is 45 days after it came out. It came out in late October. So it's around that time. Yeah. So
I was literally on HBO Max this past weekend, and I was like, I already got Black Adam on here. But yeah, it could be something.
It could be something indeed. Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next topic. And recently this past weekend, Avatar: The Way of Water, a movie that it seems like yesterday I saw at the Malco Theater in Bartlett in 2009, and I go back to that same movie theater to see the second one. So that's how long this has been between first movie and second movie. Is when I first moved here to Memphis in 2009 to when I moved back here. Essentially, that's how long the sequel was. So, that's how long it took to get the sequel out.
No,
because
but it did feel that long. That movie it's a long movie.
it actually didn't feel that long at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say not in a good way, but not in a bad way. But I want to get your thoughts on it first. What did you think of it?
I think I'm gonna say this.
You did see the movie, right?
I did. I saw it Sunday.
Okay.
I saw it Sunday. I literally got out of church Sunday and I went to see the movie. It was phenomenal. I think it was worth the wait. They did some things to me, in my opinion, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think this one was better than the first one. Mm-hmm. I think it was better than the first one. And again, James Cameron. That's the guy who directed it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. He hit the nail on the head. It was something that I think people who watched the first one and kind of like when I would watch the first one, I was young when it came out, so I didn't actually watch the first one until my teenage years. When I was 13 or 14, and I was like, bro, I'm kind of in love with this universe, and he gave the universe so much more depth and so much more meaning, and I'm actually excited to see what's going to be next for the Avatar world. What did you think about
it? No, it was not a cough fest. So, what did I think of the movie? I saw when I was young, and I was actually not well versed into what is now my video career as a video editor and a videographer. So looking back on it over the years as I got into my videography stages, the CGI still holds up in the first movie, in my opinion. In terms of the second one, now having that knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes and also video work and editing work, the first 20 minutes almost took me out of the movie so much. Here's why. Because for those that have seen the movie, there are some sequences, and I actually watched the first movie just relatively a few days before seeing this new one. They reused some shots from the first movie. Literally shot for shot reuse from the first movie, from the climactic battle of the last movie. They used for that train sequence from at the beginning of the movie that they sabotaged. They reused some shots in that movie, and also Flat Top Guy, now Blue. At that cliffside with the other birds and whatnot. Yeah, it's almost like that was. It's almost like ripped from the first movie, almost exactly in terms of framing and whatnot. So
now that you say that, I can connect that. Yeah.
So. It's again, I have to reiterate when I say what a bad movie is. For me, a bad movie is Batman and Robin. Mm-hmm. That is a bad movie. A bad movie is After Earth with Will Smith and his son. Yeah. That's a bad movie. A bad movie is Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. That's a bad movie where the script is horrible and that's just main thing. Story is horrible. Yeah. The story is not exactly copy and paste, but but to me it feels that way, and maybe some of it is taken. Maybe my joy of it is taken out of it because relatively after the last one came out, the second one was originally supposed to come out in 2015. Right. And they had said that I forget the actor's name. We'll just dub him Flat Top Guy. Flat Top Guy that got shot with multiple arrows at the last movie. They said that him and whoever that redheaded doctor lady. The redheaded doctor. They said back in 2012 or 2013, I can recall, on a movie show that I watch on YouTube, the John Campius show. Mm-hmm. They had said that via James Cameron and other outlets is that those two were coming back for 3, 4, and 5 for Avatar, and I'm like, how do you bring these folks back? Right. For Doctor Lady, I'm butchering on names here, but for her, it was reasonable because of how, if you remember the first movie, how her mind is within this spiritual realm of the Na'vi and whatnot. Yeah. With flat top military dude, when they say he was coming back, I'm like, how? And then they kind of explain away in the first few bits, almost have a recreation of Jake Sully getting it in his avatar body. They almost have a similar way with this general, and then you're like, who is this guy? And then you find out. No, my mind process was you see the general on on the screen, and then you're like, so is he reporting to him? That's pre-recorded, and then you put it together. It's like, So wait. So in this universe, which they didn't say in the first movie, again, it's a fictional movie in a dystopian universe. We get it. I get it. Is now they can take your mind data and plant it into an avatar body now.
Right. It just wasn't a clean connect. But I also was just like, oh, so I'm thinking all these guys are like finna go do a mission for him.
Exactly.
Then it like finally hit like 30 minutes later. Wait, that's him.
Yeah, it's him.
He's him.
It sounds like him. He has his memories.
Yeah.
And it just might as well be him, like reincarnated, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The movie, I would say, is okay.
Okay.
It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel slowly paced. I think with Jake Sully's family, I think the connection there was pretty cool, especially with their adopted daughter, who they also didn't explain in the movie. What was this doctor lady pregnant in the avatar body? They were about to tease it.
That's what I'm saying.
And then she had this seizure, and then this character had this seizure in the movie.
Right.
And it's like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I guess not until Avatar 3 we're going to find this out.
I feel like they dropped seeds for future movies. It's going to be like her storyline is going to be really important in the next movies. I got a feeling that Spider's storyline will be very important in 3 or 4.
I liked Spider.
Yeah, I did too.
He was really good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I'm also trying to figure out is like who's his mom.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It's like 2 children in the movie. It's like what's their real lineage? And they even teased the girl, their adopted daughter, with like when the redheaded lady's leaving that video and the guy's like behind her and all that. The other like tall nerdier scientist.
Maybe they got a little get together hook up with their avatar bodies.
They say in Pandora is what happens in Pandora stays in Pandora.
Yeah.
But again, I think for me, I think him having a family just kind of gave the movie more layers.
Yeah.
And then even just like I do think a little bit. I think with some of the family dynamic stuff, some stuff you could kind of see coming. I don't want to spoil the movie too much, but it's like I feel like with some of the family dynamic of just of the siblings, it was like something's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah.
But I think big picture, it's one. It kind of put. I think really this movie was a setup for the future.
And luck. You would hope they stick to schedule. James Cameron said that the third movie's 95% shot right now and set for a 2024 release date in December. So you would think that they would stick to schedule and that nothing else happens and we don't have to wait another 13 years for a sequel because I'm going to have children or I'm going to have a busted back by the time another sequel comes out.
Yeah, and won't be able to put on the 3D glasses.
I did not see this in 3D, by the way.
I actually did see it in 3D.
I saw the first one in 3D. Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, this in 3D, it was pretty interesting. Again, I think with the water shots, I was like, there's like no way. Like I'm thinking when I was like, I know that this is water themed, Way of the Water, and I put on the 3D glasses. I'm like, the most 3D elements they're gonna have is gonna be them splashing water. But no, really, they had 3D. The 3D elements were actually really cool. And I was watching a video, and my friend was explaining to me that like they used 3D cameras when they were filming most of this movie.
Yeah, 3D IMAX cameras.
Yeah. So I think, I'm going to be transparent. I don't know much about production side of things, but even somebody who knows very little could appreciate how great this movie turned out with one, just, the whole element of like actually filming stuff underwater.
Yeah.
Which I think that was a game changer. It wasn't the whole typical, like, let's just like have rain pour down and then like make everything look wet so everything looks shinier and better like that. No, it was like actual high quality production went in to this movie throughout the entire thing.
Do you know who plays the daughter? The adopted daughter? The same girl from Alien.
Really?
Yeah. So she's an old actress.
Yeah.
But she's playing a teenager through CGI technology.
That's actually crazy.
So I found that out like about a week before the movie was about to come out. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there's a James Cameron connection for you.
Yeah.
From his time with Aliens and whatnot. Overall, it was a good movie.
He's getting up there. I'm hoping that they're gonna have to stick to schedule. They're gonna
they better.
It's like if he's gonna be a part of these. He's gotta they gotta do it like now. They gotta wrap this up before like 2030. They've got to. That's how much time from.
Yeah, the schedule is every 2 years.
Okay.
The Avatar movies are going to be coming out. That Disney essentially said to him was like, after they purchase that's actually one of the reasons that people say that they purchased Fox was because of Avatar.
Okay.
And whatnot. Is 20th Century Studios now, is that they bought that studio because of Avatar. Not the famous theory that fans want to go around is that, they bought 20th Century because they have Fantastic Four and X-Men. No, they also have the Home Alone franchises. Yep. They have Alien. They have Planet of the Apes. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. Die Hard. Yeah. And Avatar was like the crowning jewel for their streaming and also, which, by the way, I can't help but think in this movie, they're like moments like, that like in my mind, I'm like, that's something we'll have to discuss later in a sequel planned by Disney and whatnot. Yeah. So it's like, so and so doesn't get axed. Don't worry, he'll be back for the sequel. Which, before the movie came out, the producer did one of the stupidest things I could ever think of. Neytiri, Zoe Saldana's, is that her name? Zoe Saldana?
Yeah.
The actress's name. He said that in Avatar 4 or 5 that she's going to go to Earth. And I'm thinking, gee, thanks for spoiling the movie. Yeah. She's not going to, we know who's not going to die.
Right. Yeah. We know she's straight till movie 4.
Yeah.
At least. And yeah.
That's one of the dumbest things I heard before the movie came out. I'm like, and there were moments in the movie where it's like, is this now reincarnated general going to get his revenge on Neytiri? And that moment where he realizes, like he sees the arrow and like the call sign. It's like, hey, Miss Sully.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, like something going to happen at the end. But
in your head, you're thinking.
But I'm thinking, nope, she's not going to. But then again, he died and he came back. So maybe there's like a reincarnation thing they're going to be pulling off of these Avatar movies.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's still somehow it's like that. He just wakes up on Earth or wakes up in their lab or whatever. But I did want to say this.
No, this better not be I just dreamed up all this stuff.
Oh, no. I hate movies like that. It's like you telling me I watched.
No, this never happened.
Yeah, never. We just woke up from a nightmare. That's it. Wow, yeah, to me that's like some of the lowest level like directing options. It's just like they're like be like you make this great movie, then it's like okay, well how are we gonna conclude this? What if he's sleeping? It's like that's lame.
That's almost like how the Lost series ended. It's
like,
great series, and then they're all in this church somewhere. It's like, wait, is this the afterlife? Like what is this? Is this real? none of this was real. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a J.J. Abrams thing though. Yeah. So he's always like that with the Star Trek movies.
But there was something in Avatar: Way of the Water that I wanted to point out. They've kind of got like a civilization built now in Pandora. Yeah, which I think is going to be real interesting in like the sequels.
What other sects of the Na'vi are out there besides the forest and the water? Na'vi, possibly. I mean, yeah.
I'm there's probably going to be. I got a feeling there's going to be some that are like straight up, just like in the air almost. That are just like only use the like bird type things. I'm pretty sure that there's probably some air like nomads or something. Mm-hmm. They're gonna incorporate something.
Different avatar, by the way.
Yeah.
Air nomads.
Yeah.
Let's get the earthbenders and firebenders in here.
Yeah,
that's a crossover for you.
Yeah,
the two avatars.
But yeah, I got a feeling that like that their whole like building infrastructure on Pandora is gonna play a role at some point.
That I found interesting.
Yeah. That's what I'm like.
Even though it was, I don't want to say it was rushed. Mm-hmm. It's a script thing, but yeah, like when they land on Pandora and like all those machines start walking out, I'm like, this crap is about to get down.
Right.
And then it cuts to black. 1 year later, I'm like, wow, that was underwhelming. Mm-hmm. Because those first few scenes that I said was a carbon copy of they took scenes from the last movie, like literally shot for shot from the last movie. Then all those mecha soldiers start walking out. I'm like, this is I'm ready, like Avengers Endgame style, like let's get it going.
Right.
And then they cut to black. 1 year later, I'm like, oh, bless you.
Thank you.
So I'm like, 1 year later. Really?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But again, that's what Disney and 20th Century going to like. That's what 3, 4, and 5 is supposed to be. Come see our movie.
Oh yeah, I feel like Disney's good at building sequels and getting people bought into them. That's their lane right now. Is drawing people back in. But for this, it didn't take that much work because after the first one, it's like we want to see what's going to happen next.
I think some of this movie. What I thought suffered from it is actually a gain, is because it's been so long.
Yeah,
it's kind of refreshed people's memories of. and they reiterated through the general's point of view of like how to train, how to fly like the Na'vi and whatnot.
Yeah.
And those similarities to where, okay, let's get the audience's minds refreshed, and then 2 years later, here's like where stuff gets real. Here's our battles and whatnot. Here's how it's going to end in Pandora and how Earth might be involved, evidently, for the Na'vi, which will be interesting tackling in future movies. So, and that was a new thing they explored. And thinking about it, they never did actually go against canon, but they didn't show it in the first movies that the Na'vi can only breathe Earth atmosphere for X amount of time.
Yeah.
Which wasn't explored in the last movie. But it didn't need to. There's no situation that situation was brought up.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting.
And that would make sense. That would make sense for what you were saying about how she's gonna eventually go to Earth, because even in that like lab, it was like, you know, their kids could breathe that air for so long. And then even I think something else that's gonna be important, I feel like in some of these sequels is Jake Sully's kids' hands. You remember how they were just talking about like their fingers compared
the
to
one kid had 4 hands.
Yeah.
The one kid had 4, the rest had 5.
Yeah. I do think that there's gonna be, I don't know, I just think that's gonna mean something coming up. I think there's gonna be, I think between Spider being a for real human, them having an adopted child that's not for real all the way, Na'vi, and then having like a Na'vi community, I think that's gonna just play a big role in stuff to come. I think, you know.
I think he's eventually going to get an Avatar body.
You think?
Eventually. I don't know what movie. I don't know how or when.
Yeah.
It just seems, unless they're going to play him up like the Tarzan character of the Na'vi. Because that was my first initial thought when he's running out into the woods and whatnot.
Yeah. I was like, I'm
like, this is their version of Tarzan, essentially, in space.
Yeah. I was like, he's got some Tarzan vibes, but to me, it also has some like Rise of the Planet of the Apes vibes, I think, that he's trying to establish. I think I don't know.
Role reversal though, yeah.
Yeah. I think I've literally was like, dang, this is kind of like those Planet of the Apes movies, just a little bit. So it's gonna be. I mean, I think this is the movie for me. The movie was a dub. It was a dubski.
Dubski. That's a good one. Again, general thoughts from me. It wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't better than the first movie in my opinion, but it's still good. It's still enjoyable movie. Go out and see it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you to not go see it in theaters. It's not that bad where it's like, stay away from the theaters bad. So, yeah.
But I know, some of my friend was telling me it's going to take they're going to have to get like a lot of people to go see it to like break even, because a lot of money went into this movie.
Well, they're shooting 2, 3, 4, and 5 on back to back, which saves you.
Okay,
like 2 movies worth of budgets right there. Mm-hmm. And the movie only needs a break. Like, there's a false report that said you need to you need $2 billion to break even.
Okay, that's what I saw.
Which ultimately later on was turned out to be false. That ultimately the movie needs to make about $650 plus to break even for this particular project.
Okay.
For the future,
for the franchise,
for the whole franchise, for 2, 3, 4, and 5, maybe that's what he meant by $2 billion combined for all of them. Yeah. That's probably what. That's probably what he meant. Not for a movie to make $2 billion as your breaking even point.
To me, that's
that movie would have to be more expensive than Avengers Endgame, the reshooting of Justice League, Pirates of the Caribbean 3, which was a behemoth of a movie.
Yeah. So that makes sense. If it's like the whole franchise from 2 to 5.
Yeah.
That would make more. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense then.
Yeah.
I was like, $2 billion. There's no. I'm gonna have to buy a lot of movie tickets. I'm like, that's why I saw it in 3D.
Which is why going back to our earlier point with Spider-Man: No Way Home and Top Gun: Maverick, is this thing going to have a 45-day window, or James Cameron said, I need this movie in theaters for months.
Yeah.
At least until Ant-Man comes out in February for you guys. Mm-hmm. At least between, that's about 3 months roughly.
Yeah. December,
January, February, 3 months. Roughly 3 months before Ant-Man Quantumania comes out.
Yeah.
So, all right. Cool. So, that was a good talk on our movie thoughts on Avatar 2. Not really my favorite Avatar, The Last Airbender. I can't wait to come out on Netflix. So that'll be the Avatar I'll be looking forward to. All right, for our next topic is going to be, for our next slate of the show is a news segment called Buy or Sell. So I'm going to list off some topics rapid fire, and we're both going to say our own opinions real quick, and then we're going to start off each topic where we buy it or sell. So Aaron Alston, John Morant got ejected for talking to a fan the other day in the Oklahoma City Thunder game. And Draymond Green got a fan ejected in his game a few games back. But John Morant is the one that gets punished. But Draymond Green with his antics. Do you think it was fair or foul, buy or sell, that John Morant got ejected for what he did?
I think it's foul. I'm gonna buy that John Morant is not getting the same treatment as Draymond. I think Draymond's got a league pass right now. He can get away with whatever he wants because he's in a bigger market. He is one of the he's like the Scottie Pippen to Jordan for Steph Curry right now. So it's like Ja's still just getting the little brother treatment. He just is.
I'm gonna buy that he's not getting very equal treatment as Draymond Green. Draymond Green will, if you just watch the Memphis Grizzlies matchup last year in the playoffs. How many times is he in the referee's ear? Yeah. And a few games ago, before he got ejected with the fan, he actually got ejected for talking with an official about Dylan Brooks being ejected. It's like, hey, man, what's that for? And then the referee's like, you're out of here. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he's just trying to have a civil conversation with you. Draymond Green is like a kindergarten with a hissy fit. And the referee's like, we'll turn a blind eye. We'll turn a blind eye. We don't hear anything.
Right. And to me, it's so opposite. It's like John Morant is the future face of this league. But it's like you guys are throwing him out of – and, like, if you look at the Oklahoma City game where Ja got ejected, most of them people are not there to actually watch, anybody on the Thunder.
They're there for Ja.
They're there for Ja Morant.
Desmond Bain.
They're there for the next gen of the NBA, and you're throwing out the face of them. It honestly doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
Yeah. All right. Next topic is Joey Bosa in the Thursday night game last week got flagged for roughing the passer in what looked like to be a normal sack. Buy or sell that the NFL needs to make these plays challengeable in the future?
I'm gonna actually buy this. I'm gonna buy this because really I think if you make that reviewable, it can either benefit or hurt either team. If it's reviewable and you got a defensive guy that's got a 15-yard penalty, you go and review that, and it's like, well, really, it just looks worse than it was, and it wasn't really like roughing, then that guy, you're saving 15 yards. But on the other hand, if you can review this, and it's like, you know what, they didn't call it, but my quarterback just got like Goldberg speared, I need that 15 yards, and that's going to just affect the play of the game, but it's also going to affect how teams draw up late game situations on the defensive side of the ball. So I actually think this is going to help the quality of the game by making this reviewable. So I'm going to buy it.
I'm gonna buy it, but it's not gonna happen, unfortunately. It's not gonna happen because you're gonna get the purists out there saying, for the speed of the game, we don't want to slow down the game even further. Well, if you guys didn't take away reviewing pass interference, maybe the Commanders are winners against the Giants this past Sunday for that missed PI call. So these referees need to get their heads screwed on. Mm-hmm. So next topic is, recently the Pelicans have been on a tear with Zion Williamson. Some have dared to say he is a leading candidate for MVP over the likes of Giannis and Jason Tatum. And maybe Ja Morant at this point. So the topic today is going to be should Zion be leading MVP candidate over Ja Morant?
I'm selling that all day. I'm selling that, all right? Here's my reason why. I think Zion, one, he didn't play at all last year. So I just don't imagine the NBA, I can't imagine taking a year off of work and then you come back and you get Employee of the Year. No, it's like you took a year off. You traveled the world for a year. You did your own thing. Zion's been eating Popeye's biscuits and eating shrimp and grits like every day for like a whole year. Now he just wants to come back and play. There's no way that he should be leading the MVP candidate race. I'm selling this all day long. I'm
selling it as well, but a new year's a new year, man. So last year was last year, and this year's this year. You can make that same argument for Joel Embiid. How many times was he injured, didn't play for his first few years? in the league. As much as I can't stand Zion being in the same division as the Grizzlies, he's still a dominant player. But in terms of this topic, he should not be leaning over Ja Morant because, frankly, he's getting all this stat padding and winning without Brandon Ingram. If Brandon Ingram is in that lineup, then his stats somewhat go down, and you kind of figure out, is it C.J. McCollum, is it Brandon Ingram, or is it Zion, or is it just a collective as a whole? Whereas for Ja last year suffered in the MVP voting, in my opinion, because the team was 20-2 without him.
Yeah.
So this year it's kind of split down the middle without him, which win-loss record hurts the Grizzlies, but for him personally helps him in the MVP for the MVP count. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and both sell that. We'll sell that off to the stock market. So speaking of the Memphis Grizzlies, right now as we stand, they are tied for the number 1 seed in the West with the Denver Nuggets. And for most of the NBA teams in the West that are seeded 1 through 6, they are a game out from the number 1 seed. Buy or sell, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to have a top 3 seed for the second straight year.
I'm actually going to buy this. I'm going to buy this because the Grizzlies just have to get healthy. When the Grizzlies get healthy, I think that this is going to be a team that nobody wants to see. And we all know in professional sports, everybody on the floor is actually a great player. It just matters when these guys get hot. And if these guys get hot after the All-Star break, the Grizzlies could win the West.
Yeah. I'm going to actually sell this. They're going to be the number 4 seed team because of how congested the West is this year. I'm not saying they're going to be involved in the play-in tournament, which if you're 7 or 8 seed, you're going to be subjugated to. I think they're going to be somewhat sniffing the 3rd and 2nd seed, but they're going to miss out by just a few games, in my opinion, as the number 4 seed. Which, by the way, how's that Christmas game looking against the Warriors? That's looking more pretty with Stephen Curry being out and whatnot. That's looking more and more pretty to
It is.
watch.
I think that's gonna be. I'm gonna call it. I think it's gonna be a Christmas day, a Christmas present for the Memphians in the city. We're gonna win that game, but
all the smack talk they did all off season.
We're gonna get the lick back. We're about to get our lick back.
Yeah, we will. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And back to football and craziness that happened this past weekend. The Vikings came back 33-0 against the Indianapolis Colts. The biggest comeback in NFL history, finally usurping the horrendous Houston Oilers loss against the Bills, which as a Titan fan, I've suffered with over the, I don't want to say suffer. I had that lamented over my head as a Titan Oilers fan. So they came back down 33-0. The Vikings are a team of destiny, and they will make the Super Bowl this year over the Eagles and everyone else in the NFC.
I'm going to sell that. It's just so many good teams in the NFC. I think once we get to the playoffs, the NFC side of the playoffs is going to be a bloodbath. I think every game is going to be close, and I just don't think that the Vikings are going to have it in them to consistently play in these dogfight games week in and week out.
I'm going to sell it too, but I'm not going to deny it that they could make the Super Bowl because here's a strange parallel that I've noticed. The Vikings or the Eagles are the top 2 seed teams. The year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, the Eagles were 1 and Vikings were 2. Carson Wentz, their leading candidate for MVP, gets hurt. Jalen Hurts, leading candidate for MVP, gets hurt.
Wow.
The Vikings have the Minneapolis Miracle against the Saints in the playoffs. They've had 2 miracles this year in Buffalo and at home against the Colts. So if you don't see parallels there, I don't know what you're not seeing because I'm predicting that it's going to be another Minneapolis Philly NFC Championship bout.
You got a point there, Mickle. You do.
I'm saying for parallels.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say you caught that. You've opened my eyes a little bit. Wow.
And we'll talk parallels later when we talk about the Titans coming up. All right, next topic is a local topic, actually. For those who don't know watching this show, Memphis, I believe, is suffering through a monopoly of the Malco theaters. There's no Cinemark, AMC, or Regal. The nearest AMC around here is up in Dyersville or somewhere, about an hour and 40-something minutes away from here. Why I say that is because those 3 theaters have a subscription plan where if you pay $27 a month, you can see X amount of movies as much as you want every weekend or every month. So buy or sell that our local Malco theaters should have a subscription plan for moviegoers.
I'm going to sell just because now everything's got a subscription. Like, I couldn't imagine anybody having a subscription to Netflix, a subscription to HBO Max, a subscription to Hulu, a Spotify subscription, a YouTube TV subscription, and then getting a Malco subscription. I got to sell that.
Wouldn't it have been funny years ago? Years ago, it was the talk of let's the cord cutting. The cord cutting, it's cheaper, and then you add up these subscriptions, you're back to the same price that you were pre-cord cutting. Yeah. So I'm going to buy this, and I'm going to explain to you why I buy this. Is that say your bottom line is $25 a month for a Malco movie subscription. So here's what that does: a movie ticket, the Avatar. I saw Avatar for $10. If I'm seeing another movie, that's $10. If I see 3 movies, I'm in the rain. I'm in the clear. I essentially made my money back, and I'm seeing these movies for free. Here's what it does with a movie subscription for theaters: is that Regal, AMC, and Cinemark have realized this, and they're doing it. Is that it gets folks in the theaters. One, it gets folks for the studio seeing their movies, and the theaters survive not from box office. They survive on concessions. You get folks coming back into the theater more and more to buy more popcorn, more pretzels, pizza, or whatever, drinks, even though they're overpriced. You get them coming back in for them to be making more profit as a movie theater, which I think if you're a big movie fan that wants to see movies like a whole bunch a month, nowadays nowadays it's far and few.
Yeah.
So
I was just saying, but you could make the case that you could go to a movie once a week almost. If you're paying for that subscription, you could actually go see a movie. You could hit all the new movies coming out in a month in four times.
Exactly. Visits. Which for your subscription plan, minus if you're going to have concessions or not. Like again, they're not going to force. The whole idea with this is that they're not forcing you to say, hey, if you have a subscription, you must buy popcorn. That's up. They leave that up to the consumer. Right. So you can literally just walk in. Here's my code. I'm off to the theater. Thank you very much. So, and not have to worry about paying more for a ticket because nowadays tickets are an average about $10 or so.
Yeah, I've said my 3D ticket was $17.
Well, there you go. That's just one ticket. Yeah,
that would be the subscription.
Yeah. For Regal though, I will tell you this is that for Regal they actually have a surcharge for 3D movies and IMAX movies. Okay. And similar to. No, AMC actually doesn't do that. Regal has that surcharge of like, if it's 3D or if it's an online order, it's an extra $1 for an online payment versus in person. If it's a 3D movie, it's like an extra $3-4. Okay. Which still, you're in the clear by that point, essentially. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now, something that may have raised your eyebrow when I sent you this next topic. The Life Church has released a total of 3 albums. The first one no one wants to talk about. I don't know why. You can't find it on iTunes. You can't find it on iMusic or wherever, Amazon, wherever music, Spotify. Zach Van Blaricom, I'm looking at you. Spotify or wherever, you cannot find the first album. But essentially, in our church's history, we've released 3 albums. Johnny, and the last one that came out was in 2013 with Loud and Clear. And according to one insider, is that Johnny Hill has said that they have recorded a few things in the studio. Whether that means they're recording for an album or they were recording for Sounds of Christmas or some big event coming up. Yeah. So buy or sell a new Life Church album by 2024 or by the end of 2024.
I'm going to buy that. I can buy that because I need that.
We all need that.
It.
Yes,
I'm gonna buy it because I need it. I'm gonna be real with you. I said this at Sound of Christmas. I said because we released a song at Easter 2023. He's no longer there. And it was
2023.
I mean 2022. We released it. I was like,
what DeLorean did you hop on?
Yeah, I'm in the multiverse. We released a song about an Easter song in 2022, and it was a bop. And we only did it at Easter. And that's why I'm like, I need that song on my drive every day.
I have to look that up. I haven't heard this song.
Bro, you got to listen to it. Zuriel Herrera kills that song. The entire Life Church team kills that song. I wish I could sing for real, or I'd sing it, but I don't want to embarrass myself on this podcast. But I could buy that we could have a 2024 album, because you got to think about all the stuff our church does. Like, we have Sound of Christmases, we have conferences, we have we have just such an amazing production team. We have we just operate with such excellence that I feel like it could happen.
With even more coming up on our plate with campuses opening up.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's just we do so much. So
or I should say less, because the downtown location's moved to Highland.
Yeah. They're combining with Highland.
So that's one less location they're worrying about. I'm gonna sell it because ever since 2015, I've been waiting every single year with anticipation. I'm like, I'll ask somebody like, "Hey, you guys you have this itch of doing this again?" And they'll say, "Yeah, we're interested." That's it. We're interested. So I'm not holding my breath. But if something does come out, I will definitely be first in line.
Okay,
you can actually search this YouTube video. It's John Farmer when they did their first album. He had going through the back offices of the Germantown campus. We're giving out our free album if someone can eat a pile of weeds. And Parker goes ahead and eats it.
I gotta find that.
There's a video you can still find on YouTube.
You know, Parker Van Blerkamp ate a pile of weeds for a free album.
Yes. That's how committed he is, and I don't think you be that committed.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Keep me out the weeds.
Yeah. Stay off the weed. No, not that weed. No. Stephen A. Smith reference for you. So, all right, that was the end of our lengthy buy or sell rapid fire. So, next topic we have on the show is finally getting back to sports. Is a doozy if you're a Titan fan, and some fireworks are about to be let loose. And I'll actually start off with you. Did you watch? Did you come around to watching the Chargers game?
Yes, I did.
And what were your thoughts on said matchup? And what direction do you think the Titans are headed with 3 games left in the year?
I can honestly say this: the past 3 years, it's been great to be a Titans fan.
Yeah,
it's been great. It's actually been really fun to be a Titans fan. And I thought it was going to last for a really long time. Sunday that ended when the Titans lost to the Chargers. I had to look at myself and say, it's no longer a good thing to be a Titans fan. Because we have I feel like our Super Bowl window has now been slammed shut. Because it doesn't look like we can beat anybody. And I wanted to beat Justin Herbert really bad because he's the crybaby of the league.
Really?
He is. Oh, yes. Bro, Justin Herbert gets so many passes. Well, Justin Herbert, he's just so many injuries. So many injuries.
Well,
so many injuries. I mean, he has, but it's like, bro, nobody wants to hear about that. Just go play. And Justin Herbert just gets a pass. And I'm just like, the Titans, I want Justin Simmons to sack him. Jeffrey Simmons to sack him. I want D'Amico Autry to sack him. I want Tierra Tart to sack him. I wanted everybody to get a lick on Justin Herbert. But Justin Herbert ended up licking us. I know. It's just Sunday. That was Sunday's game versus the Chargers. Losing to them was the breaking point for me.
Breaking point for you, huh? My breaking point was this past offseason when we decided to rehire Todd Downing as our offensive coordinator. That's when I figured, and I told those that know me in the Titan community, and I was shellacked for it. I said, here's what I said. I said, this coming year, 2022, it's going to be a flyer year. By that, I mean this roster may be decent. It might be good. It might be even great for all we know. It might be great. But right now it is not great. A flyer year in the sense of you're not going to do anything this year. And pray to God you have something going on in 2023 and beyond.
Yeah.
So my mentality this year was we're not going to make the playoffs. If we do, we're going to get stomped in the first round by whoever the good team is. And for a while, going after starting off 7-3, even after that last win we had which was our last win a month ago against the Packers, even I was saying to myself, I'm like, this was a great game against the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, but we are the most fraudulent 7-3 team. We can't do good against good teams. We're barely winning. That was the Packer game where it just blew open. That was our That's still our highest scoring game of 28 points.
Yeah.
Like that game. We're averaging 17 points a game. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut. As much as our defense, with the injuries we've sustained and how much they play their heart out.
Yeah.
And Shane Bowen, wherever Pixie dust, like unicorn blood, he's like giving these players to play well in defense, bend but don't break.
Yeah.
Like you're giving up these yards and yards, but you're not giving up points.
Yeah, yeah.
You're only giving up points to the Bills, the Eagles. Yeah.
That's really it.
That's the only 2 games where they've given up like a monstrous amount. Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacksonville. Yeah. Those are the only 3 instances. The rest, you can't ask any more of your defense to do because if you ask the Detroit Lions fans, like, which defense right now from an underdeveloping team would you want right now? They would say Tennessee, and they'd probably be duking out with the Vikings for the division right now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy this episode we are filming on a Wednesday because Monday I wanted to just get my rant out, but I do have a rant. So I hope you're ready. For those who are listening, I have been a Titan follower for the better part since 2006 and 7 when my folks moved to San Diego. I have caught up on my Titan and Oiler history during my time there. I remember us going to the playoffs in 2008 as the number 1 seed in the year before with Vince Young, and that was my shtick being there in San Diego. That's with the Chargers. We hadn't beat the Chargers since '93, so they're always like kicking me in the nuts going to Charger games and thinking, oh, this is the game we're going to do it. Nope. We have suffered with Jeff Fisher. We have suffered through Malarkey. Ooh, yeah. We have suffered with Munchak. Ken Wisenhunt, I thought, was going to be the saving grace for us. Turned out not to be the case, unfortunately. Maybe he could have if he'd gotten more than just a year or so under his belt. But that's hindsight. Now, Vrabel, he is a good head coach when given the right things around him. He is a good CEO. He is not a good business manager. Let's say that. He is a good face of the company. He is not the guy you want running the show. And how he is running the show, he has allowed this offensive coordinator, Todd Downing, where Raider fans know this because he was their offensive coordinator after Derek Carr had his MVP type year. Raider fans warned us. Titan fans said, when we hired Todd Downing as our offensive coordinator, dude, he is not a good offensive coordinator. Do not get your hopes up. He is not a good offensive coordinator. Last year was a one-off because of how many injuries we had in our offense, and Derrick Henry was out for half of the year, if not most of the year. We ended up getting number 1 seed, so you're thinking, okay, that's good. Everyone's healthy for the playoff game. And so everybody's healthy. Julio Jones is healthy. A.J. Brown's healthy. Derrick Henry's healthy. Deontay Foreman, who was a good, valuable replacement for Derrick Henry, he was balling right there in that playoff game. The offensive play calling has been a shtick for this Titan franchise for the longest time, ever since I can go back to the days of Mike Heimerdinger with Steve McNair. That's how far back our offense has been inept, minus the few years we've had with Arthur Smith and Tannehill marriage, which was really good for our offense. But still, you could still ask for more out of your offense because it was still a lick of malarkey and all those other offenses with the run-based offenses and whatnot. But Arthur Smith opened up with the pass game. Todd Downing doesn't know how to call crap on offense. He just doesn't. He should have been fired after the Jacksonville game when he called on a 3rd and 20 plus a wide receiver screen behind the line of scrimmage. You should have been fired after those first 3 plays in the 3rd quarter of the Jacksonville game. He should have been fired on the spot after that play. But no, Mike Vrabel just wants to go ahead and just whistle with the weeds going by in the desert. He's like, nothing to see here, nothing wrong here. And injuries. How many times in the last 3 years have we suffered with injuries? It's ridiculous. Why do I say injuries? Injuries, yes, You can't stop an ACL tear. You can't stop like a neck rupture or whatnot, or a spine injury. Those are freak injuries, or concussion. Those are freak injuries. You cannot stop those. I get that. Groin injuries, calf injuries, foot injuries, hamstring injuries, stuff like that, you can prevent.
Yeah.
You can prevent those, and yet we still find a way to get injured in that way. Our strength and conditioning coach, his first name is Frank. Why do I bring up good old Frank? Do you know what he did before he came to Tennessee?
No.
He was a strength and conditioning coach at Boston College. Why is that significant? Ask me, why is that significant?
Why is that significant?
That is where Mike Vrabel's son played college football.
Wow.
That is the only reason and connection that Mike Vrabel has to Frank, because his son probably said to him, after we had a strength and conditioning coach for 1 year in 2018, and then he left, he probably said to his old man, man, I love this guy. He's a good strength and conditioning coach. And then if you look at his resume, he doesn't even have football on his resume. He has strength and conditioning from minor league teams with the Indiana Indians and a whole bunch of other teams. Minor league baseball. Nothing to do with football. So right there.
So Boston College was his only stint with like a football team?
Yes. You know what? Before I get fact check, let's bring up his resume. Frank, Titans strength.
That's I played football in high school, and it was like
gracious.
you actually, even in high school, we had like preventative like we did preventative weightlifting throughout the season to keep from like specific injuries from occurring. Like we would work certain muscle groups to keep from shoulder injuries occurring, to keep from hamstring injuries having occurred, and even just like the flexibility aspect to keep from injuries occurring. And this was at a podunk high school in the middle of nowhere. And the Tennessee Titans have played like already over 80 players this year. They're always moving guys up from the practice squad, always signing free agents like 2 days before the game, because they've got to play these guys because all their like main guys, their main 53-man roster has injuries. So it's really kind of sad.
All right, so here's what they say on the official Tennessee Titans website. Came in 2019 actually. He was at Boston College, yes. After spending 2 seasons as a head strength and conditioning coach at Temple, okay, for 2 years. I wonder why 2 years and not longer. He served as the strength and conditioning coach for University of Florida for 5 years under Urban Meyer from 2005 to 2009. Still a long time ago. And then he was at Michigan State. Walsh. I don't even know this college. No, that's a high school. That's a high school. He had internship. Okay, I'm sorry. He had an internship. He wasn't employed with the Indian. He had an internship in baseball. So I apologize. So that's why I'm trying to fact check myself here. So here's his timeline. So
Tell us the timeline.
In 2000 to 2003, he is the assistant coach for a high school team in Ohio. He is a graduate assistant from Michigan State. He is a strength and conditioning coach for 1 year at Notre Dame in 2004, and then maybe from 2005 to 9, gets called up by Urban Meyer. That was the Tim Tebow years.
Okay.
So, and then he's head strength and conditioning coach for 1 year at Marshall, head strength and conditioning coach at Temple, and then he was there for the longest time from 13 to 18 at Boston College, to which I say Mike Vrabel's son attended Boston College. And so that's your connection. And then he joined in 2019. Oh, that's interesting. They gave him a different title. And 2019 to 2021, he's the strength and conditioning coach. Now he is being redubbed as the director of sports performance.
That's interesting. I just want to talk about.
Oh, no, he's not fired after our worst injured year. We're just giving him a different job title.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
That's crazy. I want to talk about this resume, though, real quick. Can you go back to that real quick? Just because I want to point something out. So he starts off at a high school. Then from a high school, he's a graduate assistant. Most graduate assistants, what they're doing is they're taping ankles and they're giving guys water when they're dehydrated. That's what most graduate assistants
That's essentially what they did with Tannehill.
Yeah.
After he busted his ankles. Let's duct tape his feet like how I duct tape my Christmas present.
That's all
horribly.
They do. Then he's only at 1 year at Notre Dame, a major program. the Tim Tebow years at Florida, major program. He then leaves to go to Marshall, not a major program, for 1 year. Then he goes to Temple, not a major program. Then he goes to Boston College, not a major program.
Somewhat decent, but yeah, to your point, not major.
Yeah, so it's like he had the chance at these major schools like Michigan State, Notre Dame, and Florida in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Can't cut it there. Now he's in the NFL?
That's a rateable hire, I guess. That's a rateable hire.
It's not about what you know. It's about who you know.
Exactly. It's about who you know. And
the Titans have suffered because of that.
Unfortunately, they've given him second, third. If it's next year, it'll be a fourth chance. His rear end needs to be fired. Todd Downing needs to be fired. And we were talking about parallels with the Eagles and Vikings. Here's a parallel for you. You remember back in 2017, Mariota was the quarterback. It was a year before we got our new uniforms. Mike Mularkey was the head coach. And Terry Robisky was our offensive coordinator. What happened during that year? That year, we suffered to close out the year. We started out 8-4, and then we lose all of our games but one, and we beat Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. We are struggling, and then going into that playoff, which did we really unleash the Kraken that game? Because that was Alex Smith's last game before Patrick Mahomes entered into the fray. So
then that game was
if anything, if we have inevitably unleashed the Patrick Mahomes era, blame Tennessee for that. For beating up Alex Smith and Andy Reid in Arrowhead that year with Mariota and company. You beat the Chiefs, and then you get walloped by then Tom Brady and the Patriots. And so it was rumored going into the Jacksonville game and the Chief game that if they don't win, like Mike Mularkey's going to be fired because of the lackluster offense. He wins both games, but he's given an ultimatum. You're a good head coach. Your players love you, but you got to fire Terry Robisky and bring someone else in as offensive play caller. He would not, and he said so in his end-of-year press conference, and I watched that live, and I'm thinking, he just signed his walking papers. I would, at the time, I'm of the mindset of they better give him his walking papers.
Yeah.
If not, we're going to have some issues here of inept servitude and whatnot. So he essentially says, oh, yeah, Terry Robisky did a great job. He did a great job. I'm not doing any coaching staff changes this year. Next day later, he's fired. So imagine a situation where at worst we lose out or we somehow sneak into the playoffs still. And even if we win or lose that first playoff game, we are not getting past the divisional round. Amy Adams, like she did with like she did with Mularkey, I think is going to give Vrabel that same ultimatum. Fire an offensive coordinator, or you hit the streets with him. Along with the strength and conditioning coach this time. Along with him, too. What are you going to do, Mike Vrabel? Again, I can't stand coach speak. I can't stand Vrabel's coach speak. It's ridiculous. It's like, oh, how's the offense do this year? Well, we didn't execute the game plan, and we could have blocked better. Blocked better with the worst left tackle in the NFL. We traded him from the Panthers. I believe it was the Panthers. Somebody we traded him for a fifth-round pick. He was ranked the worst offensive lineman, and with us, he's ranked the worst again. I have never seen a situation where someone has been dubbed the worst offensive lineman for two teams in a single year. 2 teams in a single year. That's a first for me, I guess.
Yeah.
You can at least bench the dude. Bench him. Put Dylan Radins at left tackle, which, by the way, for that touchdown run by Derrick Henry and whatnot, who's left tackle? Dylan Radins.
Yeah.
During that drive in the first or second quarter that happened. It was the second quarter. That was when Tannehill came back in the game. Dylan Radins was the left tackle. Work with what works for you at the moment. Don't say, oh, okay, Dylan, you had your time in the first and second quarter. We're going to give it to Dennis Daly for the third and fourth quarter. No, you know he sucks. Cut him because you already fired your general manager for putting together an inept roster. To which he essentially said, with that firing, Vrabel, for the rest of the year, you have hands on with this roster with our interim GM.
Yeah,
do what you think is best for our team and move forward this year, and then we'll reevaluate at the end of the season. He could have either benched or cut Dennis Daly. He refuses to do that. He refuses to do that. So as a head coach, I put that on him. And as for that Charger game, to get back on topic, when Tannehill went down and he got carted off the field, I'm thinking, okay, that sucks, but hey, we have a bad O-line. He came back early, in my opinion, from a high ankle sprain, which if you know medically, it takes about a month and a half to recover from. He came back in 2 weeks. And even when he came back in 2 weeks, I was saying he came back way too early. He did. I don't care if we're winning games. For his health and for those that are saying that we should keep Tannehill for 2023, you're rooting him for 2023. Yep. As I think we might not be able – I think we're going to release him after this year.
You think?
I think so. I honestly think so. I think we're going to see these next 2 games, or at least the next game, what Malik Willis has got from the home crowd, and we'll see what goes from there. But for those that think Tannehill is going to stick around with us, you want us to eject it to this offensive line? And he's there as a statue. He can't move around. He's a mobile quarterback, but he can't because he has 2 ankle sprains. You only got 2. You don't have a third or fourth leg. You got 2 ankles, and he injured both of them, essentially.
Yeah.
And so when he went out in the car, I'm thinking, okay, Malik, you're being thrown in the fire here, but let's see what you got. You're in L.A.? The lights are bright. The lights are bright in L.A., baby. You get no brighter than that unless you're in the primetime game in L.A. or somewhere on the West Coast, somewhere in New York. So I'm going to just ignore that for a bit. So when they said on the sideline that he was questionable for a return, I'm like, if Vrabel allows Tannehill to get back in the game, he should be fired. You do not put your
franchise guy.
Yeah, franchise guy. Which, by the way, it's not a first for him because in 2008, his first year coaching, Mariota got hurt against Washington, and there was word that, could he miss the last game against the Colts, which would give you the last playoff seed? Yeah. Could he miss it? But no, all indications all week was Mariota's playing. He's going to duke it out, and he's going to play. He's going to play the tough card. Then the day of, Vrabel essentially says game time decision. He is not going to play. Blaine Gabbert's going to be playing, to which I ripped Mariota for at the time. But looking at it in hindsight, I'm like, okay, that's Vrabel protecting his franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. He was not protecting Ryan Tannehill for putting him back out there and wrapping his ankles like it's a Christmas present. That's ridiculous.
It is.
And I went nuts in a bad way when they went for that quarterback sneak. You're going for a quarterback sneak with an injured quarterback. Let Derrick Henry take that snap, man.
I really what it is with Vrabel is, he played in the NFL a long time. I think in his mind, he's still one of the guys playing. I think he's operating.
He was dubbed a player's coach, and now he's not so much a player's coach. It seems like he seems cozy with the other coaches.
Oh yeah, I say he's loyal to the fault with the coaches. He acts like he owes his coaches something, and then he acts like he's one of the guys on the field with the players, which could be good. But I think right now, as we're kind of seeing his tenure kind of elongate, we're saying it to a fault. I think year one, I love this guy. He's a player's coach. But now we're seeing that kind of unfold and unravel and hurt the guys on the team. Like literally physically hurt them, but also like he's not putting us in positions to win games.
No, he's not. And I think ultimately our next 2 games are against Houston and Dallas. Everyone's given a foregone conclusion that we're going to lose to Dallas. They lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So it's possible we could beat Dallas. It's possible that the Jets can rally back and beat the Jags, and then we get up 2 games if we beat Houston this weekend. Yeah. Which means Dallas is a must-win game if you want Week 18 to be irrelevant in terms of resting for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's looking more and more likely. I mean, we'll see what happens today or tomorrow if Tannehill's going to be all boots and whatnot, with medical boots and whatnot. But the general census is going to be a level-headed person can say this with common sense, is that Malik Willis already beat Houston this year in Houston. This is in Tennessee. So why not give him at least one more try? Yeah. Or at least if you think these last 2 games are irrelevant, which in all senses, Tennessee could lose these next 2 games and still make the playoffs if they beat Jacksonville last week. Yeah. If you want to treat like that, start Malik these next 2 games because you got a game this Saturday and then you got a quick turnaround Thursday night against Dallas. So So turnaround wise, that's 3 games in 4 weeks. So that's 3 games in 4 weeks between L.A., Houston, and Dallas.
Yeah.
That's 3 games in 14 weeks. I mean, 3 games in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, really, yeah. I want to say this, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's frustrating.
I don't want the playoffs to come early and we have to play Jacksonville in Jacksonville for a playoff spot after what happened a couple weeks ago. Trevor Lawrence.
If it comes down to that, I'm actually rooting for our demise. I really am.
Yeah, I would say Trevor Lawrence.
Short-term loss, long-term gain.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is he's emerging because he's got a legitimate coach now. They're like Urban Meyer wasted one of Trevor Lawrence's years. But Trevor Lawrence is bursting onto the scene, and I think we've seen that these past few weeks. If you just really watch some of Jacksonville's games,
yeah,
he shredded Tennessee. He helped Dallas. I mean, he put Dallas in its place a couple weeks ago. So Trevor Lawrence is one of these guys that he can actually tear apart a defense. Now that he has, he doesn't even really have any weapons for real. He's got a couple average wide receivers, but he's got a coach who's like for real knows the game.
Yeah.
And if we have to go into Jacksonville with the playoff spot on the line, I don't like our chances.
No, I don't. Not with this offense. Not with this offense. Now, if Malik lights it up and gives us our first 30 burger against Houston, that definitely gives him the green light to start against Dallas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To at least do that. And then if he stumbles along the way and Tannehill is progressing, then maybe do play Tannehill that last week. But
can I give you a parallel real quick? You gave us some good ones earlier. 2019, starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, Marcus Mariota. When the season is looking bleak, we're still in the playoff race, but things are not looking good for the Titans. We make a switch to Ryan Tannehill as the starting quarterback. Ryan Tannehill gives our offense the spark it needs. We then end up winning, and we sneak into the playoffs. You want to know who we play week 1 of the playoffs that year?
It was the Patriots, and then we
the Patriots.
And then we beat the number 1 seed Ravens, which was probably one of the better Titan games I've watched in the last 5 years.
We upset Tom Brady in Foxborough. His last game in Foxborough, Tannehill puts him on ice. We then travel to Baltimore, and MVP Lamar Jackson gets shut down by the Titans defense.
He's the crybaby. he's a crybaby over Justin Herbert.
I mean, he's a crybaby too. And then we end up playing Mahomes. Mahomes pretty much.
We let that get away from us in the second half.
We were winning. We were winning in the first half.
Yeah.
He made a play before halftime that like kind of set them up to win that game. But I say all that to say, what if that could happen this year? Malik Willis starts, gets us a win, gets us another win, gets us hot before the playoffs.
Here's why I don't want that to happen. Here's why I don't want that to happen. Because Todd Downing is definitely going to be given his good graces and still be our play caller.
Yeah.
And it's just going to give like the stamp of approval for Vrabel to say, Amy, it's like, hey, we're making these championship games. We're getting through the playoffs.
We're winning the division.
Maybe it's up and coming in Jacksonville now in the fray, but
yeah,
not so much for Houston and Indianapolis, unfortunately. So, as much as I want Malik to succeed, I said beginning of the year, and even going into that Houston game when he first played, I don't want this offensive coordinator to touch or utilize this quarterback. He is raw. He's still cooking the oven.
Yeah.
I don't want this chef to cook it. I want a different coordinator or a different offensive-minded head coach.
Yeah.
Look at Tua. He was average in Miami.
Yeah.
And then Mike McDaniel comes in, and he's looking like an MVP candidate.
He's a wizard now. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's a parallel.
That's a good take.
Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant of the 49ers. Who's the head coach? Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Offensive-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Doing well with him.
Yeah.
I just want good things. I
want some quality.
I just want one, even if it means we trade away our next 3-4 years of first-round picks to go all in for one Super Bowl. Just one Super Bowl is all I'm asking. Just some semblance of goodness.
Yeah.
Some semblance of goodness, because for those that are that's what I can't stand about Laker fans. I can't stand that about Boston fans. I can't stand that about particular fan bases that have a trophy in their case. Like, oh, we suck. Oh, we're not doing so well. I'm like, oh, go cry your corner with your trophies. What do we got?
No.
We got an empty trophy case. Empty. I would like to have one of those.
Just one.
Just one. I would like to know what one of those feels like. Just one. It's just like Steelers fans like, oh, we got Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky. Oh, we suck. We suck. I'm like, you got six rings. Super Bowls. Go over to your trophy case and cry.
Yeah. It's something, and that's the thing. It's like that's why the window got slammed shut when we lost A.J. Brown. And then just our performance this year. Like, really, last year losing to Joe Burrow in the first round, I was like, I really thought last year was our year.
That was our year. Kansas City would have had to come to Tennessee. We already beaten them 20-0 that year.
And then we just take our attention to the Super Bowl. Like, and we beat LA. We beat LA that year
in LA, which
we literally beat everybody that Cincinnati would have had to win.
And you want to talk about a Super Bowl rematch?
Oh yeah, from that was 99, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1 yard short with the Rams.
Warner, yeah,
with St. Louis though at the time, not LA, but still the Rams are the Rams. Wouldn't that have been something?
Wow.
But again, that's something we just have to pull our hair out over. Like, just pull whatever hairs we got on our heads and just say, like, we just take it to the nuts or take it to the chin. It sucks being a Titan fan right now.
Yeah.
And what I want to happen, I want us to suffer as much as we can before, because the darkness that is on us, and then the dawn of the light that shines upon us in the end for the result. If that has to include Mike Vrabel being fired, then by all means get his rear end out of here with whatever coaches that he's loyal to, and bring someone that's offensive minded in here. Shoot, who we have in our staff? Tim Kelly. He's the passing coordinator. Mm-hmm. He was the offensive coordinator in Houston during Deshaun Watson's heyday, and he didn't have much for receivers.
Mm-mm.
So you have him on your staff. Next few games, let him see what he can do with play calling.
Yeah.
See what you got.
I mean, yeah.
All right. That was my long rant. So,
we gotta go.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, we'll close off this show on a light note and happy thoughts. Think happy thoughts. Sound of Christmas. Very great production, all around. Great people all around. Great songs all around. Great worship team. Great camera people and service all around. What were your thoughts on Sounds of Christmas at the Life Church?
Man, I loved it. I'm gonna be honest with you, Pastor Johnny Hill. He's got the Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to gold.
That dude's got like serious singing pipes. Like Pastor John Siebling said the other day. It's like, oh, he can just roll up out of bed and still sound like he does.
I'm telling you, the entire team, really, from the worship side of things, phenomenal job. The production side of things, I don't know how you guys do it. You guys always just pull something together that like blows people away. And I know you're on that side of things.
Yeah,
so
with the technical setup side, with the lights that we did. So.
Right. So it's like it's twofold. It's not just people getting up there and singing that makes it great. It's also all the other elements that go with it that people have to still pull off.
Yeah.
And again, that's what makes it like so spectacular. I think it's like the people that are pulling all the things off, and then the people that are actually executing all the things. You know. I did have a little bit of nostalgia during the show a little bit because I was watching Pastor Ben and Pastor Parker lead the way doing their commercials and their skits. Pastor Ben, I love you, but I did get some nostalgia for, this guy, the old Nick Gardner who used to lead segments with Parker.
Yeah. Oh, funny enough, during run-throughs, I forget what her name is. Like I think she's on the worship team too. She's a singer. But she's been doing the coordinating when I was there for Access Conference, and she did the coordinating of like stage chefs. Like, okay, everybody, we're gonna do this and that.
Gotcha, yeah.
She kept saying Parker and Nick. It's like the third or fourth time I think I heard either Pastor Ben or someone else say, "It's Ben, it's Ben."
We love you, Pastor Ben. We love you. It's just we love you, but it's like Nick used to be that guy back in the day. He was the guy that was like did all that stuff.
Yeah, this was my first time to Christmas. I saw the replay for 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I was told by Johnny that this has been a thing since 2015.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So this was my first one in person. So this was really it was really good. The first song with What Child Is This, and then the Joy to the World song.
Yeah.
For all the first song, and then like those first parts of Joy to the World, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like just in terms of production, music, and the flow, like goosebumps good. Like holy crap, this is good. Like this is really good.
Yeah.
This is really good.
One of my favorite things was the Carol of the Bells song. It was a screen element where it was like all the like musicians' hands were like digitalized on the screen.
Ah, yes.
I really liked that. And then I liked Little Drummer Boy. I liked Little Drummer Boy. That one wasn't really, that much production. The lights were going, but it was like more of just like the quality of the song.
The acapella.
Yeah. Again, it's just they don't miss. Sound of Christmas again is one of the best things we do as a church. One of the best things that we gather people at, and it was just great this year. I'm glad that we brought it back because we took a break with COVID. So it was some hunger for it for people who'd seen it before. For
COVID and then the 1 year in 2021.
Yeah.
So yeah. What are you looking forward to this year for Christmas? What are you doing for Christmas?
Man, I'm gonna go visit my family, drive up there, hang out with them. I'm gonna be real with you. I just really like food, so I'm looking forward to a home cooked meal from my mom. I'm really looking forward to that.
What does she normally cook?
Man, she normally makes chicken and dressing, sweet potatoes, casserole. She'll make turnip greens. My mouth's watering thinking about it. We normally do a honey baked ham too. And then like we just throw down. Like my mom will cook on Christmas Day, and then my dad will cook on New Year's Day. So I'm like just really looking excited for like those 2 meals. Those 2 meals. Then like just the random gifts. Like I already got like a TV that, like on Black Friday. That was like my for real gift. But now I'm just like I just want a fork to eat. That's all I want. What about you?
I'm a picky eater, man. I'm as picky as they come.
Really?
On this, it's a political show, but they had someone on just before Thanksgiving, and they had a guest on, and it's like, hey, like, do you eat vegetables and stuff for Thanksgiving? And the dude's like, I don't eat vegetables because I'm not a rabbit. I'm like, that's how I feel about vegetables and stuff with food. I'm like, I'm not an animal. I'm not eating salad or whatnot. I'm not a goat. Yeah. that's my opinion. And I'm with Parker when it comes to turkey.
Yeah.
No turkey. Turkey's not good. You don't eat turkey for 4th of July and whatnot. Give me some chicken wings. Give me some Buffalo Wild Wings or some nice homemade fried chicken.
Yeah.
And some ham for Thanksgiving and also for Christmas, please.
Yeah.
So
we'll
see. My wife's going to be cooking up a storm in the kitchen this week when father-in-law's coming today.
Gotcha.
And my grandmother-in-law coming from Florida. She comes in tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be a blizzard. So we'll see if that plane comes in or not. My wife's the Michigan girl, so she wants it to snow and blizzard.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but I know some of the production team's like, we don't like blizzards here. I'm like, you don't want a white Christmas?
We'll do literally like Memphis weather is just so weird. You know this, but like we'll get like snow once every 5 years. Then like the other years in between, it's like ice storms. And it's like our infrastructure.
When I lived here in Memphis, we had I lived from 2009 to 13. Those first 3 years we had snow.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't in December. It was like sometime in January or February.
Yeah.
But we still got snow.
Yeah. So last year in like, it was like end of February, maybe beginning of March, we had like an ice storm. And it wasn't even like a for real bad ice storm. It was just like, we're just not used to getting ice. We had like we were out of power for like 4 days because our infrastructure is not built for like bad weather whatsoever. Yeah. But it's like we'll take snow all day. Like snow is cool. It's just something about like just the Memphis attracts. It's been attracting ice the past few years. So that's the fear that the Memphians have is ice.
Hey, again, like you have a fear for ice. You folks say that you have the bad drivers. Where I came from in Hampton Roads, we have top 10 worst drivers statistically.
Oh,
so
I got stats to back it up.
So exactly. So I have the numbers to back up some claims that you may say. Oh, Memphis is not that good of a place to live. We have horrible drivers and whatnot. We don't get good weather. Compare that to where I just came from. Our summers are super humid.
Yeah.
So, except for the Axis conference this past year, that was very humid.
That was
very, very
unreal. Yeah.
very humid.
For
coincidentally, funny enough, was the Set on Fire theme.
Yes,
so.
on fire.
You get what you wish for. Next year we'll call it the icy summer.
Yeah,
and see what
real.
happens.
Like, yeah, can we have like a like mid-70s summer or something? We do
like an ice theme or something to resonate with the weather. All right, we're gonna close it out there. So, thanks again. Thanks for coming again on the show.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So, hopefully, have you back on. Maybe with Mark. In the future.
Yo.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
let's do it. All right, this is Joshua Mickle and Aaron Alston signing off.